And it's not imprecise to say use your nose either.
Yeah.
Because the thing that will happen if something bad does happen, you will know.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly liberating fact.
Yeah.
The only place where it's possible for the aromaless, invisible, and tasteless poison to sneak up on you like a Trojan horse is in salami. That's where it's theoretically possible, and that's only botulism because you can't taste it, and you can't smell it, and you can't see it. It occurs in such small micro quantities, and it really is just a micro quantity that is very dangerous. Whereas, when we're talking about whole muscle cures, their spoilage is unmistakable. You're never going to accidentally eat bad bacon. I can almost guarantee it. Because you have a sniffer, and your sniffer right above your eater will detect the spoilage if it's not blatantly obvious in the first case. So bacteria in general doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's the result of a hospitable environment. It occurs in an ecology. There will be other signs, especially with whole muscle cures. I don't think I've ever lost a slab of bacon, ever. I've lost a few hams, but never a slab of bacon in memory. And what would happen is the surface of the bacon would be populated by bad guys. And usually, and again, these are not tasteless, invisible bad guys. They are proclaiming their colonization. They're planting their flag on the bacon, declaring it theirs, and farting and sliming all over the place to deter other bacteria, to take over, to colonize. That's what they do. And so it will be aromatically obvious. Stick your head in a dumpster behind the cheapest restaurant you can find in the middle of summer, and you will know what bad bacon smells like. It is the smell of food rot. Everyone knows that smell. It's just so unmistakable. Not only will you recognize it, but you are so unlikely to, put something like that in your mouth. I mean, you're not going to do it. So all that to say, if the bacon goes bad, it's aromatically unmistakable. You will not eat it accidentally.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said a word a few paragraphs back that is an important one to remember in talking about anything meat related or anything scientific, and that's the word ecology, and not considering ourselves separate from the ecology of meat production.
Yeah.
We are part of it,
We're
actually.
biological entities.
And that's a scientific thing to say. And that we've been given this amazing gift and prowess and ability to enter into the process too. We're not like in lab coats separate from it. Like we can interact with these amazing products.
We are equipped with bacterial detection capacity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something to take seriously.
That's why we have really good senses of smell and a little thing called the gag reflex.
Right, and you have a story about that.
Oh, yeah. So the thing about the gag reflex is that it's involuntary, okay?
It's a reflex.
Yeah, you can't, it's really rough. You can't quite override that one. And I know because I tried once. And the ham I cut down,
right. He's never experimenting.
No, we did have a ham recently that went bad, and it was from way at the beginning, and it smelled fine for 2 years, and it wasn't until I cut it off of our rafter, and I started peeling the skin off, and immediately I got the whoosh,
Oh, really?
and it just hits you. You're like, oh my gosh, like you're almost tearing, and it's just whoa. And I could discern it was blood contamination. Oh. So that is the one inroad that bacteria has to the interior of a ham is the femoral artery. Okay. So that is the way that ham might spoil. And the femoral artery happens to be laden with blood, which is water. Delicious. And so that stinks. And when that was colonized, I cut into the skin, and it immediately just was honking. And it reminded me of when my friend brought me a ham that he was uncertain about, Which kind of belies my story. I'm surprised he was uncertain about it because it was. I was
he
certain
was new
about
at it.
He was new.
Yeah,
and
he was still developing.
And he's bold, and he's heard me, say, "Yeah, go for it." So many times.
He believes you. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
everyone, please just use your brains. But he brought this ham to a party, and I knew it was off, like from 20 yards away.
Yeah.
It was very obvious, very obvious. Which is an argument for developing your taste and your palate and your smellscapes. Like, smell wine, learn things so that you recognize the off stuff with just 110% certainty. But anyway, he brought it up, and I wanted to test out, my theory. And we cut into it, and I could see the same thing has just happened to our ham. It was blood contamination. That's how the bacteria got in there. Because otherwise, the leg is sterile on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Mostly. Muscle tissue is not a host to bacteria unless it's crept in there from the outside and then permeated through capillaries and stuff.
Yeah.
So I cut off some of the skin, and the aroma just became worse and worse. But I tried some. I put it in my mouth.
Just to see.
Uh-huh. And the flavor didn't give off the horrible, like, stinging poison bitterness that you might expect from rotting meat. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I could not swallow. My body would not let me swallow. It was really amazing. The smell was enough to cue my gagger to override my thinker and say, no swallow. We are not swallowing.
Spit it out, moron.
Spit it out. And I did.
Yeah.
And I tried to swallow.
Oh.
I tried. I chewed it for a while, and nothing. I was really shocked at how strong that gag reflex was. Mm-hmm. It was extremely potent.
Yeah.
So even if you're dumb enough to put it in your mouth, like me, you probably won't even be able to swallow it. Uh-huh. So it's hard to limit the liberation of that fact if you just know that with whole muscle cures, spoilage will be obvious. The implications of that are limitless. That means that if it's not obviously bad, it's not bad. Mm-hmm. So when it gets cobwebs on it, when it's dusty, when the fat is all yellow and even a little bitter, that's not vomitous spoilage. If it's not horrible and rank, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So that's the whole muscle cure secret, I think. And not so with salami, because there, again, it is theoretically possible, because it's an anaerobic environment, for the thing you can't taste, see, or smell to proliferate and be dangerous.
Yeah.